It was an ordinary Tuesday morning, but for little Maria, the day was anything but ordinary. She stood on the busy city street corner, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched a small bundle of bright, colorful flowers. The bustling crowd passed her by, completely unaware of the girl who was standing in the cold, trying to make a living. She wasn't selling the flowers because she wanted to. She had to. The world was moving too fast for her, and she was just trying to keep up. The flowers, simple and delicate, were all she had to offer. She had spent hours this morning picking the blooms from her garden, each one carefully chosen, each one representing hope. Maria wasn't just selling flowers. She was selling dreams, dreams of a better life for her family, for her mother who had fallen ill, and for herself. Her eyes scanned the faces of the people walking by, hoping someone would stop, but they were too busy, too consumed by their own lives. But then, a man in a sharp suit, a CEO on his way to a meeting, walked past her. He stopped. His gaze lingered on the flowers, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Maria thought maybe, just maybe, this stranger might change everything. Maria's story was one of resilience, of a young girl who had faced more hardship than most adults. At just 8 years old, she had already learned the harsh realities of life. She lived in a small apartment with her mother, who had once been a vibrant woman, full of life and energy. But illness had drained her strength, and she could no longer work the long hours at the factory. As the months passed, her condition worsened, and Maria had taken it upon herself to take care of both of them. Her mother had always taught her that hard work and kindness would get her through anything. But Maria felt the weight of those words every day. They had no family to rely on. No one came to help. The neighbors were kind but couldn't offer much, and the government assistance they received barely covered the rent and food. So, Maria did what she could to help. She would wake up early every morning, go to the local market to buy a few flowers, and then try to sell them on the street corner. She knew it wasn't much, but it was all she could offer. The flowers, simple and bright, had a way of attracting people, making them stop and notice her. And with each sale, Maria felt a small sense of pride, a feeling that maybe, just maybe, she was making a difference. But some days were harder than others. She could see the pity in people's eyes, the way they avoided making eye contact. It was as though they didn't want to acknowledge her, and that hurt. But Maria didn't let it stop her. She knew she had to keep going. For her mother, for her future. On that cold Tuesday, however, something was different. Maria had been standing there for over an hour, the sun now dipping low in the sky, and it seemed as though no one was interested. She was beginning to lose hope when he walked past, tall, confident, with a sense of purpose in his stride. He wasn't the kind of man Maria expected to stop, but he did. As the CEO walked past Maria, she hesitated for a moment. She had seen men in suits like him before, men who seemed too busy to notice anything outside their own world. But something about his eyes, the way they flicked down to her flowers and then back up to her face, made her heart race. "How much for the flowers?" he asked, his voice smooth and deep. Maria's mind raced. She had never sold a bouquet to someone so important before. She had never sold anything that mattered to someone who seemed to have everything. Her voice wavered as she spoke. $2 each, she said, her hands still trembling. She was asking for more than she usually did, but today felt different. The man looked at her for a long moment, considering the offer. She could see his eyes scanning the flowers, but also studying her. How she stood there waiting, hoping. Then, he did something that shocked her. He didn't just buy one bouquet. He bought them all. "Keep the change," he said, handing her a bill much larger than what she was expecting. It was a $100 bill. Maria's breath caught in her throat as she took the money, almost unable to comprehend what had just happened. She looked up at the man, unsure of how to thank him. But before she could say anything, he spoke again. "You know, I see something in you. You've got ambition. I can tell you're doing your best. But there's something more you could be doing." His words were not harsh nor condescending, but filled with a certain kindness that Maria wasn't used to. How would you like to learn more about flowers? To really understand them, I can teach you, if you like. Maria stood frozen for a moment. Her heart was pounding. She had always dreamed of learning more, of becoming something more than just a little girl selling flowers on the streets. But could she really do it? Could someone like her learn something so different, something that could change her life forever? Maria's mind was spinning. She had never been offered anything like this before. The offer to learn, to grow, to do something more than just survive, it seemed too good to be true. But something about the man's presence, his genuine kindness, made her believe it wasn't. He wasn't offering her a handout or pity. He was offering her a chance. "My name is Charles," he said, extending his hand. "I run a flower shop downtown. I've been in the business for years, and I know the ins and outs of everything from growing flowers to arranging them. But what I've learned over the years is that it's not just about the flowers. It's about the people. And I think you've got something special in you. If you're willing to work hard, I'd be happy to show you everything I know." Maria's heart swelled with a mixture of excitement and fear. This wasn't just a handout. It was an opportunity that could change everything. For the first time in her life, she could see a future beyond the corner of the street. She could see a future where she didn't just survive, but thrived. The next few weeks passed in a blur of new experiences. Charles kept his promise, teaching Maria everything he could about flowers. She learned about the different types, how to arrange them, how to grow them, and most importantly, how to see the beauty in them, not just for their colors, but for their life cycle, for their resilience. But it wasn't just about the flowers. Charles took time to listen to Maria's stories, to understand her struggles, and to encourage her. He taught her not just about business, but about perseverance, about believing in herself when the world seemed against her. Maria had always thought she was alone in her struggles, but Charles showed her that there were people who cared, people who believed in her. 1 year later, Maria stood in front of Charles's flower shop, now part of the team. She had learned everything she needed to know and had helped grow the business, bringing her own unique flair to the shop with her flower arrangements. But the most amazing part? She had opened her own small flower stall just outside the shop, offering the same flowers she had once sold on the street. She was no longer just a little girl trying to survive. She was a young businesswoman, taking charge of her own future. The day she opened her stall, Charles stood beside her, smiling proudly. "You've come a long way, Maria. I knew you had it in you." Maria beamed. "I couldn't have done it without you." Charles smiled softly. "You did it because you believed in yourself. I just gave you the tools." In that moment, Maria realized that Charles had given her much more than just a job. He had given her the confidence to dream, to reach for something bigger than herself. And in doing so, he had changed her life forever. Maria's life had transformed in ways she never thought possible. The little girl who had once sold flowers on the street had now become a successful businesswoman. Her mother, who had been ill, was getting better, and Maria's life was no longer defined by survival. Instead, it was defined by the opportunities she had created and the relationships she had built. She had learned that dreams were not just for the fortunate. They were for anyone willing to put in the work, to stay determined, and to never give up. With Charles's help, Maria had found a new sense of purpose. She had grown beyond the limitations of her past and was now shaping her future. If this story inspired you, please like, share, and comment below. Have you ever received an unexpected opportunity that changed your life? We'd love to hear your story. Don't forget to subscribe for more uplifting and life-changing stories. And share this one with anyone who needs a little reminder that no dream is too big to reach for. Remember, sometimes all it takes is one person to believe in you to change everything. Stay inspired and keep going. You never know what amazing opportunities are waiting for you.